Welcome to the channel. I trust that you're doing well. We are seeing some interesting things happening on the Ethereum blockchain that normally happen before a major surge in price. We're also seeing some massive revenues being reported for applications that are deployed on Solana, and we're seeing some positive inflows on the Ethereum ETFs. At the same time, we're still seeing a major bloodbath in the alt sector, even Ethereum being down 4% today. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some charts, we're going to look at some articles, and we're going to try to make sense of where we're at and where all of this could be going. Will there be another alt season? And if so, how crazy could it get? Stick around and let's get into the video. And we have ourselves another sea of red across the alt sector as it takes it on the chin once again. Some of the biggest losers of the day today would be Uni down 9.3%. We see ENA down 8.6%. And we can see NEAR over here down 6.5% and CRV down 7%. Some of the bigger losers of the day. We do see some green mixed in with the red, but overall just another bloody day for the alt sector. Jumping over to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, interestingly enough, we see this is still in the neutral zone at a 55, but it is up 5 points since the last time we took a look at that, despite all the selling inside the market. And we have a post here from Zero Hedge saying that Ethereum dumping after third largest ETF inflow led by BlackRock of 2025. And indeed, I can see that Ethereum is currently down 4%, at least at the time I'm making this video. Zero Hedge was kind enough to share this chart over here showing us the Ethereum ETF inflows. And someone down in the comment section here is being a bit of a troll, showing a picture of Tom Lee looking a little bit stressed about price action. Recently, Tom Lee launched a treasury for Ethereum. He's trying to get ahead of all the major banks before they build their stable coins on Ethereum, and there's likely a lot of real world assets that will be deployed on Ethereum as well. Now, I personally would not be fading Tom Lee. He's a really smart individual, and of course, back in 2018, everybody thought he was crazy when he was predicting Bitcoin to reach a price point of 55,000. Well, we all know how that worked out, so where are those critics now? And moving right along, we've got a post here from Crypto Goose saying, breaking. Daily transactions on Ethereum are nearing all-time highs for the first time since 2021. Yet nobody is paying attention. ETH is about to prove everyone wrong, says Crypto Goose, who was kind enough to share this chart right here, showing us that indeed that daily transactions are hitting an all-time high since back here in 2021. And usually price action will lag this until it doesn't. So maybe we're in for a really good time for Ethereum in the not too distant future. And we have a post here from Crypto Rand saying that Ethereum absorbing the biggest majority of inflows while Base taking the biggest hit. And Crypto Rand was kind enough to share this chart from the Artemis terminal. And over here on the left, we can see the top inflows, and Ethereum is just crushing it currently, getting above 9 billion. We see over here on top outflows, we see Base up at the top, and it's hemorrhaging 5.5 billion in outflows. Very interesting. And we have a post here from Whale Insider. This one is for Solana. Just in, Solana applications generated over 562 million in Q2 of 2025, more than all other chains combined. And Whale Insider was kind enough to share this chart with us right over here. Of course, we see Solana, they're just crushing it, 562 million. We see other blockchains coming in at 116 million. BSC 140, Ethereum at 151 million, and Base down here at 74 million. As the saying goes, follow the money, and in crypto, follow the devs. Price action will catch up to this if this keeps up. So it'll be interesting to see how Solana performs in Q3 when those results are revealed. And popping over to So Value to take a quick look at the Ethereum ETF net inflows and outflows. And generally speaking, we do see that the ETFs are accumulating for Ethereum. We can see back here on June 30th, that there was a total net inflow of 40.68 million. The next day, there was an outflow of 1.82 million, nothing major. And then we see on July 2nd, there was a total net inflow of 148 million. So we can certainly observe some accumulation happening for Ethereum, at least when it comes to the ETFs. And quickly heading over to the altcoin season index, we can see that it's currently ticking at a 22, and it's still very much Bitcoin summer and altcoin winter. Over here on the chart, you can see that anything below the 25 on the y-axis is definitely Bitcoin season, and anything above 75 on the y-axis is altcoin season. Now, typically, if there's altcoins that I believe in that I think are going to do well in a cycle, I try to accumulate them during Bitcoin season. I don't wait for alt season to start buying altcoins. I might try trades at those levels, but for the most part, if I'm hodling altcoins, I'm looking to take profits when altcoin season hits above the 75 read on the y-axis. And jumping into the Bitcoin dominance, as this is another great chart to pay attention to as far as alt season is concerned and Bitcoin season. And at the time of making this video, Bitcoin dominance remains nice and strong, coming in at 65.4%, at least at the time of making this video. So whether this market is moving up or moving down, Bitcoin continues to swallow all the liquidity. It's just taking the oxygen right out of the room, at least for the time being. For a meaningful alt season, what we look for is we look for Bitcoin dominance to fall off a cliff. In the past, it's been quite abrupt, sudden and massive waterfalls to the downside, and then grinds out the lows like you see right in here. I'm not exactly sure what it'll look like this time around. Maybe it'll produce some kind of downtrend, but at the end of the day, we're looking for Bitcoin dominance to fall off, and then alts will usually catch a major bid. And during those times, you can almost throw a dart at the dartboard at any altcoin. It's probably going to benefit from that. So another good chart to pay attention to, but as it sits right now, Bitcoin dominance does remain strong. And jumping into the price action of Ethereum on a daily time frame, and we can see that Ethereum has been challenging the white 200 simple moving average ever since putting in this major pivot on the market right back here, which could be the low. We can see that the 200 has been rejecting price action several times in this area. Ethereum did manage to break above here, but was quickly rejected, falling all the way back down below. Ethereum caught a nice bounce here off the 100 simple, and very recently did manage to close a couple candle bodies above that white 200 simple. We do see that the 377 has been harassing price action as well. You can see this candle body closed just below the 377, and then when the bulls were looking for follow through here, the bears stepped in, and now price has sold back off and is just kind of basing off the 10 simple and the 200 EMA down below. What I'm looking for here for a bullish bias, at least from a price action perspective, is I definitely want to see daily candle bodies closing above that 200. As the saying goes, nothing good happens below the 200. You see that when Ethereum started closing below the 200 here, that it was just absolute wrecked city to the downside. Now, the inverse can be true. So if we can get some daily candle body closures above that 200, preferably on good volume down below, well, then the bulls would be regaining control from a price action perspective of this asset. So for a bullish bias, I certainly want to see a series of daily candle body closures above that 200. I want to see it get back up above there. And you know what? Even above that 377 as well, being that it has been harassing price action. So the 377 is currently coming in at 2,579. So if we can start getting some daily candle body closures above that price point on good volume down below, that's going to be looking a lot better. And I tend to think that's likely what's going to happen at some point in the near future. Now, I did put this purple box on the chart, and that is marking this pivot right back here. We see that price action wicked up and then just an aggressive sell-off to the downside. So in my opinion, things start looking even better for Ethereum when it starts closing dailies up above that purple box. So the purple box has a bottom side coming at 2,817 and with the top side coming in at approximately 2,880. In the future, we start getting candle body closures above that level, things will be looking very, very good for Ethereum. Not only at that point in time would it be above all the major moving averages, but then it would also be taking out this pivot right here where the bears were very happy to step in and just tried their best to sell price action off to the downside. So for a bullish bias, that's what I would be looking for. Now, if Ethereum starts taking out this pivot right here, then, you know, the bears are going to still be somewhat in control of this chart. Maybe not necessarily for the long term, but maybe for the midterm. That pivot has some candle bodies coming at 2,402, but if it starts getting below that wick at 2,369, then that's likely going to initiate another test for Ethereum down to that 100 simple moving average. The 100 is coming in at 2,191, so that would be the first area I'd be watching on the Ethereum chart if the bears are to reject price action and bring it lower. Of course, if Ethereum starts taking out this wick down here at 2,115, then things are going to really be looking weak for this asset at that point in time, at least from a price action perspective. Now, that's not necessarily what I think is happening. I think at some point soon, the Fed is going to be, bringing interest rates lower. I'm thinking towards the end of Q3. Maybe it happens sooner. Some people are wondering if it happens in July. I personally don't think so. But I suppose if it did happen in July, it would surprise a lot of market participants, and that would probably cause some pretty good price action for the crypto space as a whole. And quickly taking a look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin here on a daily time frame, and of course, we can see that Ethereum has been a major outperformer this cycle, just absolute waterfall to the downside as Bitcoin has just been the king once again. Now, is it possible that we're seeing a little bit of a bottom being put in for Ethereum? A little bit too early to tell, but Ethereum is certainly trying to make an attempt of that in this area here. I think things start looking a lot better for Ethereum versus Bitcoin if we start seeing it get back up above this level here at about 0.04. So I'll just go ahead and grab a little horizontal line here, and we'll put that on the chart like so. As you can see, if Ethereum starts to work its way up on its Bitcoin pairing, getting up above this level here, not only would it be taking out this last major area where it broke down once again, but it would also be above all the major moving averages. So that's what I'd be watching on ETH versus Bitcoin. But right now, we're still in Bitcoin summer, so this chart doesn't surprise me. And quickly taking a look at Solana versus USD on a daily time frame, and we can see Solana here is hanging on for dear life. We see recently that Solana did come up and challenge the white 200 simple moving average. There was a candle body closure up above that and on decent volume down below, but the very next day that was coughed up and the bears were able to bring the price back down. And as you can see, we've got M is for murder. And I would say if you're going to look at that pattern, it's likely played out on this pivot point right here. With Solana, what I'm looking for is I want to see it get above that white 200 simple moving average on daily candle body closures. That white 200 simple moving average is coming in at 165.75 on its dollar pairing, and that is confluent with this pivot right here from this sell-off to the downside. So if we can see Solana breaking up above that level, I'll go ahead and mark it with a horizontal here. We want to see it get above 165. As a matter of fact, 167, get some daily candle body closures up above that level there, and then Solana is going to be looking a lot better. And then over time, we want to see it get up above this pivot as well. For downside, if the bears are to take over here, I'd be watching this pivot right here. I really would like to see Solana get no lower than that. You can see that this low right here is a higher low from back here. So if Solana was to break below that pivot, then that would be showing me from a price action perspective that in the midterm, the bears would still be in control. So we have the candle bodies of that pivot are coming in at 131, and the bottom side of that wick is around 126. So I would like to see Solana stay above those levels there. If it wants to just grind that out before making another attempt, whatever, fine with me. But from a bullish perspective and from the price action, again, we want to see Solana getting up above that 200. Nothing good happens below the 200. You see that candle body closure right here, and then what came next, just nothing but downside for Solana. But the inverse can be true. So if we see Solana getting up above there, not only will it be back above that 200, it would also be above all these other major moving averages, and then that could be signaling that the bulls are ready to take over this chart. And jumping into the Solana versus Bitcoin on a daily time frame. And to be fair, this chart looks a lot better than Ethereum's chart. And makes sense. I mean, with all that revenue coming through Solana's applications, all the developers developing on the chain, it makes sense that in its current posturing, that Solana is currently doing a little bit better versus Bitcoin than Ethereum is. I think Ethereum's going to be just fine. I think there's lots of good things coming for Ethereum, but I also think the same for Solana. So for this chart here, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see Solana at least get above this pivot right here. That is coming in at about 0.0017. If Solana starts getting up above that, you can see that it would also be taking out the 200 simple as well as the 200 EMA. And just up above that, we have the 377 as well. But if we can start getting some daily candle body closures above this pivot right here, so if Solana works its way up, starts looking like something like this, that's going to be looking like a bottom for Solana versus Bitcoin. But it still has its work cut out for it here. This is a daily time frame. This could take a little bit of time. And there's always still threat of the downside. I mean, if we see Solana coming down, taking out this pivot right here, well, another lower low would be in the works. We can see that pivot on a candle body closing basis is coming in at 0.0013, and we can see this wick, the last line in the sand, coming in at 0.0012. So if Solana starts closing down below that wick, then likely that's initiating a lower low on this chart. So those are the areas to be watching as far as Solana versus Bitcoin is concerned. And that does it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you think an alt season is going to come later on this year, or do you think alts are dead? Now, if and when an alt season does come back, are you bullish on Solana? You bullish on Ethereum? Do you hold both? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for coming by and checking out this video. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one. And until I do, have yourself a powerful day.